Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here with podcast 216. Today's guest is none other than Daeron Katz, the Senior Marketing Community Manager. I was also going to say purveyor of ZZ Top Look, Solo.
No, I failed ZZ Top.
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
man. Theirs are like 3 times as long as mine.
I mean, you can
I've hit
try.
a complete brick wall.
Yeah.
Right there. Can't go past it.
I mean, we've talked about this before. That's actually genetic.
You know, we get made fun of because we always spend a certain amount of the time of each podcast up at the top of the podcast talking about my beard. Let's end the beard conversation right now. Let's move into.
I feel like we should deep dive into it just
Really?
to make those people
Let's examine
mad.
every strand.
But it is. It's genetic. Just to let you know, it just stops growing.
So my family line all have short beards, is what you're saying. So I kind of relate to you now, the whole short thing.
Yeah. I don't know how long mine gets though. I haven't.
Yeah.
No.
Oh
I
man,
haven't.
you know what would happen? Yours would you'd
Oh,
be able
yeah.
to go all the way. You'd be able to go to your feet.
I should do it
So-
just to make you jealous.
And to make the people that complain about our beard talk even more frustrated. As we were getting into before we started recording, then we're like, hey, maybe we should just start recording. You went house hunting this weekend, and I'm very interested in hearing how that went.
Wow, you're switching up on. Why are you? I'm the one asking
I'm the
questions.
host. I'm the host.
What happened here? Yeah.
know.
So, I guess this goes back to and you'll have to skip forward if you're not interested. But yeah. So we've been looking around. I mean, obviously, there's been a few movements. First off, my wife got laid off a while back because COVID, and then she got another contract. And we've lived in this rental, and with literally the housing market how it is, and then COVID, and just like it's always been crazy here, but it's never been like this, like, and at the price
housing
point,
market or what?
yeah, and like the equivalent, like, I can't give you a number because it wouldn't be equivalent to like other areas, but here the price point we're looking at, everybody's looking at, and so now people are paying way over the top what they should. Because availability is so low right now. But yeah, anyways, needless to say, so we were like, okay, out walking one night.
Because of people commuting to the city, right? Like it's growing.
No, it's because you can't expand any. I mean, we're in this last area that sort of expanded south of Raleigh. Right. And the problem is, if you talk to people that study it, is the low interest rates since the 80s. And right now the lowest like ever, and then the baby boomer generation aren't moving, and so this creates a high demand but low supply, which is great for sellers and horrible for buyers. I mean, like literally, it got to the point where it was like we're out walking, and my wife said, we could move, and I was like,
yeah.
Well, I was like, and I've told her we've had this conversation before. It was just like, my job could, what I do, I can go anywhere and whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's really up to her. So yeah, so we actually had that serious conversation probably about 4 months ago. And then just sort of like, we could do this we're doing this to, all right, we need to start, and our lease for this rental ends in February, and we have to give them 2 months heads up. So November was a little bit early looking, but last weekend we went to look at some homes. One, we were like, yeah, we could live here, but let's give it another. So this past Friday, she worked a lot of hours, and we just basically, I made up the stream yesterday on Saturday. We're recording on Sunday to make it up. And so we went and looked at 6 homes, and so
I hear something good coming.
We literally just made an offer on the house that we liked on the first go round. And it's a little nerve wracking because it's like, man, we've only looked at like 11 houses. Yeah. But also like, it's like it ticks the boxes of everything we need. Nice. So that just happened. But even then, our realtor sent us the comps in the area, which is like houses that sold recently. And for the price that the the owner, it's the seller agent is actually the owner. Basically, they got it as a foreclosure and they're just flipping it.
Yeah.
But like the price he's trying to sell it at is ridiculously high when you consider the comps are like,
comps, right?
Oh my God, they're like, one, they're bigger houses, but two, they're like decked out to the extreme. This one, we're gonna have to do a reno to the master. You wouldn't fit in the master shower.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you would
It's like a boat shower.
Yeah, you would probably go like, and then you're done. Like, so for us smaller people, it's okay. But we know we're gonna have to do a reno on that. But everything else, they updated the kitchen. We've got a 2-car garage, plenty of space. I mean, all that. So sort of, yeah. So we're excited. But
Good,
you
man.
got your
Congratulations. I hope it goes through.
Let's see. Don't know.
Yeah, no, I said I hope it goes through. Of course,
throw your
don't jinx it.
Beard jinx on me.
I know, right?
So okay, we're already down this trend. I'm letting my hair grow out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Like
top.
a hippie?
Well, no. You know, like you ever watch the series Vikings, like Ragnar Lothbrok?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm doing
Nice,
it.
dude.
I'm gonna just long. But my wife was like, if you do this, there's gonna be this awkward stage where you're gonna need to do something to your hair because it's gonna be too long.
Tame it.
Yeah. And she's like, it's an awkward stage.
Not
it's
long
like,
enough, but not short enough to
I'm doing it. Yeah. She
Cool,
was like, and then we were sitting in the car and she's like, what do I know? You'd probably look hot. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, so I was like,
good for you, Danny.
So, yeah. So,
good times.
Anyways, I'm doing it. I don't know.
Right on, man.
We're committing. But, yeah, man. I'm
going to continue to lose my hair.
Yeah.
I've made that decision.
When did you, you just.
In my 30s, I started losing it. Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've.
Also genetic.
We've pissed off the internet and all mech warriors out there. Let's
everybody could skip forward enough.
What does this have to do with Piranha Games, guy? Where's the real podcast in the news? I mean, whatever,
That's what I'm just gonna say this right now. That's a weak argument. You can just literally click ahead and figure out where you want to start, pick up now, or whatever. So stop being lazy.
Also,
you can put the little.
Yeah, but that means I got to do more work.
That means extra work for you.
And then others will do it for me, but then they'll get mad at.
Are they worth it? That's the question. Are those people right there worth it?
Are you guys out there, viewers, listeners? Would you like me to do that? I mean, but people do show notes, so that's good. But I'm sure it'll be like, Wizard and Hobbit talk about beards for 15 minutes. Really, I mean, but.
Beards and hobbit holes.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're looking at Winston-Salem, towards Winston-Salem. So it's a small town outside that we're looking, and so cross our finger.
Awesome,
maybe
man.
next time we have a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I guess. Yeah.
Hope it happens.
All right, man. So last time we chatted, we had a podcast. You were having
over a week ago.
Yes, it was, because normally we do this on Friday, but I was gone on a Friday, and then you were exhausted on a Friday, and then I was busy on
Friday.
A Saturday.
So Friday after I finished, work around 6 or something like that, I had dinner and I literally just collapsed on my bed. It was one of those things where you just barely, you just fall into your bed and you're out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why this didn't happen then. And then yesterday we were both busy, and so now here we are. Yeah.
So you had another meeting with Russ this past weekend, is that correct?
Yeah, so that was on Thursday, which was later than I wanted to do it, but he had a lot of other stuff going on. We're getting super busy with all kinds of things, including obviously the countdown to December 10th with Mech 5 on Steam and GOG and the DLC, and so it's kind of a madhouse right now. So yeah, we didn't have the meeting till Thursday, but the meeting went really well. He was pleased with our progress, and we were kind of pleased with the direction. Basically, something kind of snapped a little bit should I say snapped into place for Matt and I. And as we've been, like, as you can tell by watching the previous podcast you and I have done together, we've mostly been in information gathering mode and organizing and just kind of trying to wrap our heads around what the community wants, and which obviously that community is, because what the community wants can be a huge range of things. Sure. So just trying to explain in case anybody hasn't watched the previous podcast. But so now we're at a point where we have a pretty good consensus of what the community wants. That's the information that we went over on Thursday with Russ, and also kind of how we're categorizing things, how we kind of are thinking to monetize things. And tomorrow, that's Monday, I'll be doing my Monday post. I don't know what, I forgot what I call it, coffee with Daeron or whatever. And hopefully when I make that post, I'll be able to at the same moment drop the categories basically of everything that we want to put into an update or updates. Most likely updates. We're thinking at this point it's going to be multiple updates, probably quarterly. But then, this is all stuff that can still be discussed. And then we're going to start immediately, because that'll be a post in the forums. And then we'll get the word out via other means as well, so that everybody that is interested can come and partake in the discussion that will then hopefully start tomorrow. And it'll, it can be by category, it can be by every single bullet point in each category, just, discuss the hell out of it amongst the community. And it will start online on the forums, and then it will, after I think we get some feedback, we'll be talking before that, obviously, but about probably doing a roundtable and take the discussion that's been going on within the community, as well as whatever we can get, technically reviewed in that same period, and hopefully have a dev or two, on the roundtable, as well as Russ, and start hashing out or molding more what's already started to get molded through the discussion on the forums. So like basically, we're going to take the coming weeks to take everything that's been sent in as a consensus, and start working it out, when we'd want to do it, exactly what we want to do to whatever it is, as well as if there's anything that still needs to be added to the list. This will be the time to add stuff. If for whatever reason I overlooked it or didn't give it enough significance and the community wants me to know that, then we can add stuff to the list still. And then like I said before, I believe I said it in the previous podcast, we want to hit the ground running in January.
Okay. I mean, you did mention maybe, hopefully, stuff happening before that, and maybe
low-hanging fruit.
Timeframe. Yes.
Yeah, so that's still a goal. We would absolutely love to get some low-hanging fruit, easy stuff, flipping a switch type things happening before. I just can't guarantee it yet. Right now, like I said, leading up to Steam and GOG launch, there's like all kinds of things happening behind the scenes, as well as the DLC. Sure. The team is totally in crunch mode. And I guess I should be careful with that term. It's not like CD Planet or CD Projekt Red crunch mode, but yeah, everybody's really busy. So I'm trying to get as much attention as I can, hopefully get some low-hanging fruit by December, but regardless, hitting the ground running in January with a plan, with scheduled updates, a roadmap, and still room to be flexible as well, because with the changes that go in the first update, we have that might alter obviously what's going in the second or third update based on the feedback we get.
Sure.
So there'll have to be some flexibility built in.
So you're really wanting a solid, basically, by the time you guys go on break, it's already okay. Yes. And the team's already talking about you come back and you're full tilt.
Basically, between here and the break, the holiday break, we want to hash everything out with the community. Sure. Like have a solid plan, and we feel like we're going to be able to. Feels really good with everything that we've received so far, and so that gives us 6 weeks, I think, to really work this stuff out. Between the community and the developers, and so we're excited about that. The other thing that could happen potentially over the next 6 weeks is we like the idea of introducing a new map, and we also like the idea of introducing at least one new mech, and we love the idea of having both of those things being community driven. The community, literally, from in this last discussion on Thursday with Russ, what we talked about with the map is looking into the possibility of even importing some kind of rough design in an application that can be imported into what the PGI is using, so that because that's what we were discussing. What's the best way to make that translation from what the community is wanting into an actual map. Also, it'd be obviously the community, seeing the map as it's being developed and making, adjustments or whatever. But we love the idea of being able to do that. So that might even be taking place over the next 6 weeks, maybe, if we can get that going, if we can figure out a way to make it. And also, what mechs does the community want? If we're introducing a new chassis or two, what does the community want?
Gotcha.
And so it's going to be, this next segment is really going to be the community participation discussion. I anticipate some, heated discussions. But I think with everything that we got, we can make a really cool plan.
How is Russ feeling about the direction? Like, obviously we've talked a lot about, PGI should dedicate a small team and work on the Unreal, but then there's, okay, well, does that just mean flipping the switch in 2 years for MWO, just get a facelift? Is another product? I mean, I know you mentioned Matt that's what he's working on. Is Russ leaning towards a specific, keeping MWO the way it is and optimizing? And if so,
right now the way we're running is, we had three basic paths. I mentioned, I think, the first time.
Sure.
One is minimal changes to MWO, basically just keep the lights on. We immediately, X that one out, not what we wanted to do. Second one is making updates to MWO and CryEngine and continuing, development for the coming years. And the third being obviously upgrading to Unreal 4. Basically, the one that seems the most realistic is, down the middle. And so that's kind of what we are counting on happening. We did discuss Unreal more, and it's not like Russ is saying no, but the path to success there is so iffy, on so many levels, including not even knowing. First of all, 2 years was a guesstimate based on, we'd have to really dive deep to figure out how many.
It could be quicker too, actually. I mean, we actually
Sure.
don't know.
Could go either way. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not going to pretend like I know.
Sure.
But it could be more. And then the point I'm getting at is that if we lose the license, when we're supposed to, 2025, you're talking about dumping a ton of money into the development of a game that may only live for 2 or 3 years,
Sure.
And so it's just a tough decision. And so while that door is not closed, it would take a lot to make that as viable as continuing development in CryEngine, unless we knew that we were going to guarantee to get an extension in 5 years or 4 years or whatever.
Sure.
So
Gotcha.
you'll have to. I mean, we can absolutely bring it up when we start discussing things.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's, again, I think I told you last time, there weren't a lot of great ideas, and I'm not blaming anybody at all for how to make it work business-wise, as a business decision. There was a ton of great ideas for just doing it, because everything about it,
Sure.
On the surface.
You're talking about the monetization business aspect of just MWO, or the business aspect of upgrading to Unreal?
Well, it's kind of all the above, but what I was specifically targeting was just the monetization of the process of upgrading to Unreal 4. Gotcha. And, what do we do with Mechwarrior Online while we're doing that? And
I mean, unless you went to Microsoft and said, hey, which you just got, I guess, done.
We just did.
Dealing
that's the
with
problem.
But I mean, I could see the argument of, okay, well, this same issue, let's just fast forward to 5 years. Okay, you guys reach out, get another extension. Then we're right in the same, 5 years isn't long enough. And then it's like, you now have literally a game that will be.
Sure.
I mean, it's even EVE Online has upgraded their engine throughout the years. And, I think you mentioned too is that it's not like MWO is just CryEngine, whatever it was, 3 point, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's a very modified. So, how does that look, improving performance of that CryEngine. And this is one thing that I was talking to Magic Pink Glove and a few others about is like, when someone talks about like performance, I don't know if it's engine because limitations, I don't know if it's engine and, whether it's particle effects or shadows or lighting issues, or is it a try count? Like, again, LOD issues, is it line of sight? Like, I don't know. I would probably venture to say all of the above, right? That would probably be something like that. But
most logical. I think that falls under the category of just, performance overhaul, and a lot of stuff can, potentially be done to improve performance. I don't know enough about, that side of it. So that'll be, one of the topics that we can, starting Monday, start discussing and have engineers involved in, so that we can get a better idea. There's maps that can be improved, like Solaris, it can be improved for performance. And then there's probably over encompassing things that can improve all maps. And
I'm thinking like the whole Intel, Ryzen, I know AMD, for the most part, CPUs don't do as well with it. So again, I'm just wondering, the technical perspective, it'd be great to hear from the individual on that. Like, can anything be done? There's got to be wiggle room somewhere, but like, again,
well, and this will be the fun of this process, right? Because everything that we want to do is going to consume resources. In other words, people. And so we're going to have to, part of this process is going to be prioritizing what we want to do when we want it to, be released. And, part of prioritizing and putting things into the schedule is also dealing with the limits, the limits of our resources. And so that's why we think it's more likely to be 4 updates or something similar to that than 1.
Yeah.
Because we'd be waiting. Number one, if we did 1, it would probably be later in the year, right? And so that would suck, waiting an entire year for all this to really happen. I mean, obviously things would happen before that, but waiting that time for this release would be a lot. So I think dividing it up quarterly would be much more easier to manage, and
more attractive to me as a player. Of like, gee, I have to wait 12 months.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Come on,
So that was kind of a no-brainer for us.
Yeah.
It lets you see, 1 quarter at a time, that things are happening, that we're getting done what we said we're going to do. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be the challenge. But this is it. This is, we're on the precipice of really deciding the future development of MWO, which could include Unreal, and we'll have that discussion with Russ. Probably what we'll do is have him on the roundtable. So we'll probably do a week of discussion based on the forum post, and kind of just,
let's clarify, for when you say roundtable, if someone has no idea what that is, what is that?
That'll be something that will most likely partner up with you and GNG, and allow some sort of, and this is part of the process of us discussing this behind the scenes, but some sort of a way for community representation, people within the community to come forward and talk to us, Russ, developers, engineers, whoever we can get to participate in it, as well as just speak to the community, to make arguments or make requests. And so it's a way for all of us to sit around a round table, essentially, and discuss what we will be hashing out on the forums over the next week or so. And whether we do it at the end of this next week or the end of the following week, we'll decide that. But that'll be the way for people, not everybody wants to deal with the forums. Not everybody wants to deal with podcasts. So we're trying to make it so that we reach as many people as possible in the various.
You'd have a post up, hey, we're going to be doing this at this day, this night. Post your questions here if you want to ask a question.
We'll have a list of questions. Yep.
Okay.
And that's the other thing. I mean, I might be speaking too soon, right? Because we haven't talked about the logistics of what it will be.
Yeah.
It may be people talking. It may be a list that we're reading from. It may be both. We want to be as efficient as possible. So maybe in the comments of this podcast, people can say, this is how we'd like to do it.
I just imagine me being a moderator and be like,
yeah,
ask Rena a question. You have 2 minutes, sir. Go. You're freaking done. Next. Like, I'm going to be very assertive.
You got to have a mute button.
Yeah. I'm going to knife
Show us how moderation is really done. Because obviously.
Gosh. All right. We're moving. I will mute you, sir.
Yeah.
All right. So and we've done those in the past, obviously. It's been a minute. So
Yeah.
We'll do that. So I have a question. I had a long chat with a certain Aussie that has the chin of Gibraltar on him.
Yeah.
Ash.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him a question, and I'm going to toss it out. I don't know what's
Okay.
going to come out. I just want to see what isn't being said, or what hasn't been said that has there been anything that's just sort of caught you, whether it's the business stuff or whether it's an idea, like you're like, yeah, no one's really talking about this, like, but you feel like maybe it should.
No, well, whether it should or not, so I've been really training myself to not really consider my own opinion, which is hard, so I've been like, I constantly have to just smash that down, because we're going into this with a specific goal, which is to make this community driven, and so I'm constantly having to smash down my own opinion. So to all of a sudden ask me my opinion, things that have surprised me is like Melee, but I think most people like myself are very I just don't see how it ever worked, man. I don't see how it could ever look good. And so basically somebody would have to prove me otherwise. Somebody would have to, maybe do a test scenario so we can see but all I see is this, and just it looking ridiculous. And so I guess I was surprised that didn't get brought up more because of, Battletech and them introducing the Hatchet Men, right? Yeah. And as far as what surprised me, I was surprised that there weren't more people diving a little bit further into the Unreal 4 possibility, other than just saying do it. I mean, I don't think there's a lot that can surprise me at this point. We've been in this community for like, 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
We've heard everything, right? And and we've discussed everything to death.
What about another question? We're just doing.
Well, I would love to know if there's anything that you're specifically wanting.
No. I'm just wondering, like, because with all of my guests, what I'm trying to do is pick, about certain topics. Like, I've asked all of them, let's talk about 8v8. Let's talk about 12v12. Let's talk about groups. What size?
8v8 is a good one, because I feel like I absolutely do not have my finger on the pulse of the community on that one. And then maybe it's because it is such a divided issue. Like I just don't, a lot of things I'm like, oh, the community wants that, hands down, no question. 8v8 is probably the one that I have my least understanding of, whether the community would think it was good or bad. I feel like it's pretty divided.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's divided. I think it's just it's a few
I may
topics.
be wrong, but that's
well, yeah. What I'm saying is like, the reason why some would say 8v8 is because, from a matchmaking standpoint, you're taking 24 down to 16. It just numbers wise, it's a little bit better to chew for the matchmaker to be able to find matches, group size, stuff like that. Be able to, you just got a bunch of smaller groups.
My personal feeling now, if I do state my feeling on that, I do think it should be 8v8.
Yeah.
I always lean towards, because you know why? Because I'm not constantly, but often hearing people complain about matchmaker and match outcome and lopsidedness or whatever. And just since the back, from the very beginning, we always kind of thought
we had
like World of Tanks.
Yeah. Well, we had 8v8.
Three people on a team, even though that was hard because of lances.
Of course, this discussion is like, I've had multiples like, okay, is a solo and group, but then you get into solo, 12v12, is it working just fine? What would it be? Do you have to change any of the game modes? We get into like the nitty gritty. Does it create NASCAR? You go groups. What about splitting groups and solo? Obviously, I'm going to assume PGI would go back to having a dedicated group queue instead of mixing. I get asked all the time my thoughts on stuff, but I don't think really.
You would assume they would do that if what?
Yeah, player population increases.
Oh, yeah.
Because the only reason it was done was because of the lack player of in group. But also, what was interesting, and this did get brought up, and something maybe you can ask is, And when I say this, PGI did, you weren't there, you weren't a part of the team yet, but Paul did a test right before they made the switch of having 8-man groups. And from every single person that I've heard back from, it was a net improvement. And then it was like 2 weeks, and then boom, we just made our minds up. Now, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say, was there analytics behind the scenes that said, yes, even with that change at some point in time in the queue because of whatever hours of the night or whatever, maybe it was a sort of oceanic time zone, we were still having issues with population. But that was never stated, and everybody's always sort of asked, why didn't you just keep 8s? Now, the interesting thing is, even if you go with 8s, then the question is, how big of groups do you go with? And this is where things are very interesting. And I want to say divided, but I think you have to look at, if something can happen, it will. Like, what I mean by that is, like, it's like the whole, if you can take a 4 or 8-man group, guess what? Someone's going to take a 4 or 8-man group. And if you recognize that, you know, the outcome of a match is heavily impacted by the, you know, group size, and we already recognize that. We've had literally 6 years because
I don't think it's debatable.
Yeah, debatable. Right. And so, anyways, it's just one of those where I just want the conversation to be had, and then also say, why are you right? Also, and I've asked them, well, how could you make 12v12 work, or why, you know, like, what are your reasons? And there's so many layers to it all. But I mean, one reason that Ash did bring up, and I think this is a valid reason, is he said Oceanic has always had issues in the group queue with the population. So going down to 8s and then like 4-man groups or whatever, and doing like a 1-1-1-1. It just sort of, everything fits, right? And you don't have to worry about opt-in and stuff like that. It's just, if you want to drop in group queue, you have 1-1-1-1. You don't worry about tonnage, and it's just boom, 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 boom. I mean, it talks about PSR, and there should be a group PSR and a solo drop PSR, and there's a lot of things. But
what I like about what you said is discussion, and this is going to be the time to talk about all those things, dive as deep down as we possibly can, and make the decisions. The decisions will be the hard part. And determining, you know, what the consensus is. But I think this is, you know, I'm excited right now, man, because we have all this information that was sent in, all these ideas, you know, from new player experience to features, you know, updating or fixing features that already exist, creating new features, maps, mechs, modes, you know, monetization, just on every level. Social features like, you know, putting stuff in the chat or fixing chat or optimizing it or whatever. So I think a lot of good stuff, and we like, it's this, what I feel like is it's just a ton of ingredients, and now we're going to make just an amazing final product.
And you know, like I think a lot of people's minds will be at ease, or at least like really buy into it, is like when they see the plan, and then when they see the action start happening. And that's what I sort of warned everyone last week, which was like, well, we don't have any more weeks to go, and the plan isn't solidified yet. So, you know, then you're looking at the beginning of next year. So you're at least 2, 3, 4. If you're going quarterly, then, you know, I mean,
you talk to any game developer, and nobody is saying, you know, the feeling is always that we don't have enough time. You know, like you always feel, you know, I'm frustrated a little bit in that I'm having to dedicate a decent amount of my weekends towards working, mostly because I kind of had a goal to not do that. We've talked about this, right? Yeah. The reason I'm doing it is because, not because anybody at, you know, PGI is forcing me to. It's because I can't, in good conscience, not do it. You know, like, we're doing some work a little bit later, right? There's no way around that. And so
it is what it is.
It is what it is. And I absolutely, as I've been saying in every podcast previous, this is a huge responsibility to me. It's a huge opportunity. And my only option is to frickin' succeed with this, right? Like, that's all. So there's just not enough time. We're working as fast as we freaking can. You know, I see a lot of the comments like, oh, they're having meetings to hold more meetings to talk about meetings, and I understand that feeling 100%. I absolutely understand it. I'm
That's what
just as
phase we're in
frustrated.
right now, guys.
Yeah,
This is a
it
phase.
is. There's no way around it. Is, you know, everybody would like to think that there's just 5 people involved and all they do is snap fingers, make a decision, everything changes. But man, there's just such a process and it doesn't go fast enough.
But you're excited and it comes through.
I'm totally excited, man. I'm absolutely freaking thrilled. And I feel, like I said, that something really over this last week snapped into place. You know, it was before that, it was just a mess of information. Now I see a path forward clearly. And now we just need to hone it, fine tune it.
Sure.
And we'll be beginning that discussion tomorrow. So I'm totally excited about it. You know, we're talking just real quick to go back to the 8v8 because something popped into my mind when we were talking about that, and I didn't get a chance to say it. You know, there's a lot of different ways that this could go as far as things like Solaris and faction play. You know, one of the things that was suggested is making them timed events. And so maybe that's a way to occasionally, whether it's weekly or every other week or weekends or whatever, through faction play, a way to have 12v12 and then quick play is 8v8, you know, just for a total random option, you know, that is possible with everything that's been submitted. So there's ways, I think, to satisfy everyone, no matter what we do, obviously. We're not going to please everybody, right? We can tell from the statistics how many people are playing quick play, how many people are playing faction play, how many people are playing Stellaris. And while quick play obviously is a granddaddy, you know, there are people playing faction play and about a half as many playing Stellaris. And so there's people in there that are absolutely loving it. They're dedicated to it. And if you do anything to mess it up, you know, they're going to be absolutely pissed. And I understand that. So this is going to be part of the challenge for all of us, is to figure out a way forward with all this information, with all of our options, that makes as many people as happy and makes Mechwarrior Online more fun for everybody.
Well, the cool thing in the discussion of 8v8 is you can do a live test for a month and collect the information. I mean, it's like, for me, from a solo player, if you went from 12s to 8s and just said, hey guys, this is a test, and I will actually talk about and reflect, and we'll look at the numbers and we'll see, you know, did you like or not? This is not even to do with like groups, obviously. I mean, if you did that, you definitely need to remove groups, or at least have a really hard discussion about that. But yeah, and if people really did enjoy the 8v8 and the groups that were happening, and saying, you know, like maybe for that month you have, hey, can group Q be sustainable and solo be sustainable, and make that split? I mean, I don't think anybody would be opposed to a change. And from a development standpoint, I don't think it's not.
I hope we can go that route.
Right?
You know, I hope that's the result. Absolutely. It would be nice to be back in that situation. I'm just going to say, you know, this is kind of in closing, you know, this is the time. And so the discussion is going to be happening starting tomorrow, moving forward. And this is when things can be changed. This is when things can be molded. This is when you can bring ideas in that maybe aren't on the plan. And so it's, you know, I'm super excited. I'm totally looking forward to the discussions going on. We will obviously talk more about the roundtable and various other methods of communicating with everybody. But man, I mean, this is it. This is when the decisions are going to be made, and it's, to me, it's pretty monumental. We can really make a difference, I think, with Mechwarrior Online. So I hope everybody else feels that way too. And I apologize for things not moving as fast as everybody wants. It's just, I hope they all know that that's, you know, the case for Matt and I as well. We're constantly like wanting to make things happen quicker. You know, like obviously there's nothing in us. It's like, ha ha ha, we're going to make them mad. You know, we always want to make the community happy. But we can only do what we can do.
Well, hey, thank you for coming on here, and I look forward to obviously talking about some type of roundtable and maybe a podcast next week or whenever and all that. Just want to say thank you. Of course, have a good rest of your weekend, and enjoy Monday's posts. So I will talk to you later.
All right, man. Thank you.
And of course, there is your final words from Daeron Katz, Mama Bear himself, who is now working for Piranha Games as the community manager. I'd like to say thank you to all of you guys for listening and watching. And if you guys find this informative, make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And just want to say thank you again. Did you find the discussion? Was there anything about it that you feel like needs to be added to? Was there anything that Daeron brought up that, piqued your interest? Make sure to leave a comment down below, and I will make sure to grab that hopefully for the next podcast with him. But yeah, just want to say thank you again. This podcast is supported by viewers, listeners like you. If you'd like to be a supporter of that, all I ask is that you smash the like button again if you haven't done so. I don't know why you guys haven't done that. Look, it's so easy a hobbit can do it. But really, to be honest, I stream Monday through Friday. We have a fantastic time over at twitch.tv/NGNGTV. I'll have a link down below. I stream 12 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, I will let you guys know if something comes up, and I'll make up that stream time. But man, we have such a good time. So maybe consider becoming a subscriber over there. Maybe even drop in your Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, you can drop your Prime Gaming now is what it's called. And of course, you can become a sponsor. You can head over to my Patreon. Maybe you want to toss some cash at my face, coins at the Hobbit. You can head over there as well. We've got different tiers for everyone. I just actually added a new tier for that, so make sure to check that out. And of course, if you're going to be shopping on Amazon, maybe you're upgrading your system, maybe you're buying your dog some toys or your kids some stuff for the holidays, maybe a PS5. I don't know if those are even available. I don't know, I'm old. I have an affiliate link, an associate link you can use, and it gives me kickback. So I'll go ahead and have that link down below. But just want to say thank you again. You guys are fantastic. And of course, we will inform you guys what's going on with this round table. I've got some discussion I have to do with the beard offline to square things away. So this was your local No Guts, No Galaxy Mechwarrior podcast signing off for tonight. This is Phil. Until next time, Mech Warriors.